So now that the cat is out of the bag as far as what I'm working on with the acquisitions fund, I'm going to reveal a little bit about the strategy behind it and why I'm going that route in the first place. So the goal as far as how I'm raising the money through for these assets is going to be through the sale of a digital product. That is what we're going to be selling on the blockchain, the NFT. Now, what the digital product is it's essentially an automated distribution system that can be used for essentially any ways of raising money and redistributing money to people who come together for, a certain cause or a certain project. Essentially, what we're going to do beforehand is, when we have a buyer base built up, we're going to identify an asset pre-sale and we'll have parameters set so that the contracts aren't going to allow people to mint the NFT until the threshold is met that will allow us to buy the asset. So like if we only need to sell 80% of the NFTs to, buy a piece of real estate, people can put the pre-orders in, but once it's hit that 80% mark, the Ethereum that's held in escrow until that 80% mark is hit, it's executed and the Ethereum is sent to a central wallet that I can access and then be able to withdraw to buy the asset and put it on the portfolio. Now, once the asset is purchased, the goal is to buy things that can either pay us monthly or it may have a longer time window, like let's say with construction being 12, 24, 60 months. The goal is to be able to have the profits, the cash flow placed into that central account. And then we can essentially use the account to automatically distribute those funds to NFT holders based on the percentage, and that'll be based on, if one person has multiple NFTs or if one person has an NFT that has a certain feature where it gets a higher percentage yield than the others in the collection. So that's kind of just a brief idea as to how the digital product actually works. And that's one of the cool things with smart contracts. You can set these guidelines to do almost anything you want. And we're going to be getting into how to actually set that up and program these contracts in later videos. But I want to give you guys a framework just so you can understand what the end goal is. Now, whether you're, a trucking business owner or, you're just a part of a small group of new real estate investors looking to buy and split up their first property, the goal is that people can also use the contracts that I'm making for my own companies for their own individual products. So essentially, we're going to design the contracts and the process that we use to raise the money to be as duplicatable and repeatable as possible. So not only can people do this once, but people can scale and expand their businesses, expand their own portfolios, doing the same thing that we're doing. Now, as far as the timeline goes, currently we're in the later half of 2024. I anticipate in 2025, we're going to see the crypto bull market peak. And when it peaks, smart money in the space is going to want to move their gains into something that's more stable. Most of them don't like sticking around for that 80 to 90% correction. But the problem is if they convert their money to USD or even like USDT, they're going to pay upwards of 20 to 37% because they're putting it back into the government's money. So by purchasing an NFT that's tied to a real world asset, it provides that desired stability without ever having to actually convert into USD. That's kind of the goal. It's not a thing yet, but I do expect at some point within the crypto space, there'll be something very similar to the 1031 exchange, the same way there is with real estate. Currently, if you do convert your crypto into another crypto or buy an NFT, it is considered a taxable event. So, end goal, like this is the long-term vision as to where I see, the crypto space headed. There's already loopholes in real estate in the real world, so I don't see why that can't be applied to Web3 and the blockchain. So, given the timeline and given we have about an 18-month window to see that peak in the crypto bull cycle, the goal is to have operations ready and the concept proven before the peak so that it'll build confidence within potential investors to be able to work with me on bigger projects. I would rather, have the concept proven with a small project, maybe raising like $1,000, 5 grand, rather than just saying, hey guys, I'm raising $3 million. Never done this before, but trust me, it's going to work out well. If I can do this on a small scale, then it'll prove the concept and give confidence for doing it at a larger scale. And when it comes to projects in the next wave of NFTs, it's going to be very much trust based. There wasn't much trust involved in 2021 and people got burned. It gave a really bad taste for the industry. So, the creators of projects building trust with the community and showing they are here for the long haul, to provide value to the space, it's going to be essential. So that's why, I'm doing the whole YouTube video recording, documentation. I don't care to be famous, but people do need to know my name and know who I am to be able to trust me enough to work with me on these projects. So that's why we're doing it. And when it comes to the security, especially with the type of contracts I'm planning to build, security is a paramount feature. So I'm going to need to understand how different smart contracts work, how functionalities are included, how to make sure there's parameters set so that people will not have their money stolen. And that comes down to, my own knowledge. Yeah, I can partner with people who know it better than I do, but end of the day, if my name's behind it, I'm responsible. So I'm going to be taking the liberty to learn how to code these smart contracts using something called Solidity. Solidity is the programming language that is used to write smart contracts, similar to how there's Python and JavaScript for traditional Web 1 projects. So Solidity is going to be our Web3 programming language, and I'll be going into detail on later videos on how we can set up basic contracts and then how we can build in functionality and utility into them, kind of stacking layer on layer. Now, as a way to provide value to the people who are supporting me early on, another thing I will be including is I'll have a personal library. One of the cool things with coding and smart contracts is given its code, it's something that's repeatable. There's public libraries available on places called Open Zeppelin, where if somebody successfully created, a smart contract that had desirable functionality, they can upload it there, and it allows other developers access, to be able to build on and improve things. So similar to how there's very large public libraries, I will have a private library that I'll give access to people who are supporting me early on. So that is kind of a brief synopsis as far as to what the strategy is behind the acquisitions fund we're building. The next video, I'm going to be getting into Solidity itself. So kind of explaining a little bit more as to what Solidity is, how people can start learning how to use it for themselves, as well as building some basic contracts so people can see the process, from going from giving ChatGPT an idea to actually implementing it and deploying it on the blockchain. So I will see you guys on the next video.